Welcome back everybody here for the Tier 1s here tonight at Motive for the GT3 Championship. We've just had to start a new stream because unfortunately the server crashed at the end of the Tier 2 race. So it wasn't my game, it was the server that ended up basically bottoming out. I'm not quite sure why, but I'm just glad it didn't happen in the middle of the race. And I'm glad that it happened near the end, so obviously there was something we could kind of just crack on, you know, no dramas, I guess, because, you know, the race had finished, and I don't think there were any position changes after the race ended either, so I think we're okay. I think we've got away with that one. But nonetheless, we're here for the Tier 1s tonight who are out currently on track. We've got a very special guest, or, I mean, not really a guest, he's more of a very special returnee here tonight in the shape of our 5-time champion here at Motive, our 2-time champion of this league, the GT3 Championship. That is Jazzman, who is making his return here to Motive in Season 4. Hasn't raced in Season 4 until tonight, but he's raced. He's the 2-time champion of the GT3 Championship on a Sunday. He's the 2-time champion of the PlayStation 4 GT3 Championship. And he's also the 1-time champion of the PlayStation 4 Sprint League, and the only one he's not won is the PS5 Sprint League. But then again, realistically, I think I should start tying these all into one kind of thing, because I think it's a bit poxy the fact that I consider it to be a different league just because it's from PS4 to PS5. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think I should tie it into all one so it's all got the same history, so it's all the same? I don't know. But nonetheless, Jazzman making his return tonight here to the track. Obviously, it's great to have him back because we've missed him this season. We've missed Tynus having somebody to actually battle for the race wins. Tynus in the house has taken 6 wins from 6 rounds so far this season. He's been absolutely dominant across the course of Season 4. But obviously, his perfect record could be gone tonight because Jazzman making his return. Jazzman did cheekily say in the comments a couple of weeks ago that he'd love to be the man to try and stop Tynus's run of wins, and when he's going to join him. And also, I remember a couple of times he said that that if he was racing, he'd take him out, or that he'd crash into him. I'm sure he was joking about that. But yeah, currently Tynus in the house is P4 in this qualifying session, so he's got to put in a lap, and he's got to do it quickly here. He's currently on his penultimate run of the session. He's got Andrew just in front of him as well, so that's not going to be ideal for him at all, because obviously he doesn't really want to be getting held up here on his flying run, as he's coming through Club Corner right now. And you can see there he's just slowing down, just backing out of it a little bit there at this point as Tynus has returned to the pits. So that is his session done and dusted here. Tynus in house is not going to be getting another lap in here. So that is going to be very frustrating there for him. P4 on the grid. Is that his true pace? That's going to be the most concerning part. Is that his real pace? Or has he got something else in the locker here? But nonetheless, Robe there on the front row as it stands alongside Jazzman. Can he find a bit more time here and put it onto P1? If it wasn't for Jazzman being back tonight, Robe would be getting his first pole here for the GT3 Championship in Tier 1. Over the line he comes. Wow! Look at that. Robe there within 300ths of a second of Jazzman. So he's getting so close. He's chipping away here, is Robe. Seemingly has got a lot of talent around Silverstone, and he's really flying out there right now. Robe only 300ths of a second shy of our provisional pole sitter. Ludo currently sat in third in this qualifying session. Tynus in the pits ain't going to improve. PS Vid's coming through Brooklands. He's currently P5 in this session. Drove an absolute cracker last week at Donington Park. Can he follow it up with another strong performance at a British circuit? Here he comes up towards the line. What is it going to be here for PS Vids? Currently P5 in this session. He comes over and he doesn't improve, so he stays in P5. No changes there for PS Vids. But Robe on his final run of the session, can he find the 300ths of a second that he needs to put himself on pole position here for round 7 of the GT3 Championship here for Tier 1 at Motive? He's just coming out onto the international pit straight right now. Ludo's coming down the hangar straight. Kev's in the pits. High Grade's coming through Brooklands. He's about to finish this lap that he's currently on. This will be his final lap of the session because he hasn't got enough time to get round to do. He won't cross the line before he gets to 0. The clock will be just at 0 just before he gets there. But High Grade here onto the power, coming into Woodcote. No, he's coming into the pits, so he's not going to find any time here. So that is going to be High Grade session done. Robe here just coming out onto the Wellington Straight. You can see here in the foreground that is Lowell 3000 there going through Brooklands. And there is Robe going into the corner now. So what can Lowell 3000 do? Can he find a bit of time here? Get himself in the top 10 maybe? Currently a second and a half off of Caprigio, who's sat in 10th place. Here he comes up towards the line. What is it going to be for Lowell 3000 as he comes over now? He improves, but not by enough to change his position. Robe over the line, what can he do? Can't improve, stays in P2. Just misses out there for pole position there to Jazzman. We've got Ludo coming down towards Brooklands. He's got to find half a second here if he wants to start this one on pole. Is he on an improvement? He must be on an improvement to have got this far into the lap without bailing out. Here he comes through Luffield here for the final time in his qualifying session. What is Ludo going to put on the board here as he comes through Woodcote now? Up towards the line here. What's it going to be for Ludo? He improves by 1/10 of a second. Not near enough to get himself on the front row. Mary Louise is coming through out onto the Wellington Straight. Yellow Army in the pits. So is Glenn. So Mary Louise, is he on a flyer? He seems to. He's coming into Brooklands here. Seems to be on a flying lap. He is the last driver on the track. As here he comes into Luffield now. Mary Louise, currently P13. Can he find 4/10 of a second? Get himself in the top 10 maybe? It's not a million miles away. As he comes through Woodcote here up towards the line. What is it going to be for Mary Louise? It's P11. Misses out on the top 10 by 1/10 of a second there, but nonetheless an improvement there. Moves himself up 2 places. So that is that then for the qualifying session here for round 7 of the GT3 Championship here. Tier 1 at Motive for Season 4. Jazzman on his return to the league, taking a pole position. A perfect return there for Jazzman, but we've got a 1-hour race ahead of us, and that's going to be a long time for him to try and keep Robe, Ludo, Tynus behind him, and obviously everybody else as well. But it's going to be an exciting race here tonight, guys. 15 of you currently watching live on YouTube at the moment. If you're enjoying, please do smash the like button and subscribe to the Motive Racing channel. If you want to get involved in the action, www.motiveracing.com. Sign-ups for Season 5 will be coming out this week. Tuesday I'm going to be getting them out. That's me. I've targeted Tuesday now. I've pinpointed Tuesday as my golden opportunity to get this done, because obviously I haven't got any other days off this week. I'm currently scheduled to be working 47 hours next week. I'm not even joking. Literally 47 hours next week. I know, right? Well, to be fair, most people work 40-hour weeks, so it's only a little bit more than most people, but you definitely do feel those 7 extra hours. I'm telling you now, you do feel the difference. But yeah, so basically 1 day off Tuesday. That's now basically my golden opportunity to get these sign up forms done, and I'll be throwing in a few tracks. Obviously, I'll try not to do any of the tracks that we did this season for the Sunday. So we'll probably be doing the tracks that we've done on a Sunday on a Wednesday next season. We'll probably be doing the Sunday tracks, so the ones we did for the GT3 Championship this season, we'll probably be doing for the Sprint League next season, and vice versa. Just obviously to keep it, switch it up and keep it interesting, so that you're not doing the same tracks every season. It's probably the way that we'll do it. Next season, also the plan is to put a little bit of changeable weather in there, and I'm going to decide the weather before we actually get started for the season. So I'll put in the times, what times the sessions are going to be, and what the track temperatures are going to be. All that stuff will actually be out beforehand, so you guys will know a week before the races start what the track, or rather, you'll know when the server comes out. But essentially, I'm going to try and put it in the sign up form if I can. So basically, you'll know exactly what, or not exactly, but you'll know roughly what to expect. There'll be some changeable weather in there, so it won't all be 100% set in stone what it's going to be. The server will have some kind of variability to it, because at the moment I've got it on static, and for the last couple of seasons, as people have probably gathered, the weather's been on static because there's never any changeability whatsoever. But we will be changing that next season just to make it more exciting. So obviously that'll be good. And also next race for the final round of the season. For those of you who hadn't tuned in for the Tier 2 race, we will actually be doing a night race at Indianapolis for the final round of the season. So that will be something a bit more atmospheric, you know, under the lights at Indianapolis. Track temperature will probably be down a little bit as well, but it's going to be an exciting sort of atmospheric end to the season, which I'm sure that all the drivers and those of you watching on the stream will enjoy immensely. But nonetheless, guys, we are just coming around the formation lap here. We've got Jazzman on his return to Motive, putting it on pole position here tonight. We've got a lot of comments coming on the stream. I'm going to read them all now. We've got Totally Zero here saying hi, supporting Robe here. Robe starting on the front row here tonight, so he's got a huge opportunity to maybe get his first Tier 1 win. Can he do it tonight? Totally Zero says, Andy, you have Motive Racing with Project Cars 2 thumbnail. Oh, for God's sake, are you telling me it hasn't changed? I think it has now. I think it should have done now. Oh, please tell me it's not still that Janetta thumbnail. No, it's not. It's changed now. Okay, cool. Hey, says Guy. F1 race done. We watch Motive. Of course you do, mate. Of course you do. What else is there today? I'm joking. Obviously, there's a lot of things you could be doing, but I'm very glad that you are choosing to watch Motive in your spare time, mate. Massive shout out to Guy, and he is our F1 Championship leader on a Friday night. He's also our coordinator as well. Does a lot behind the scenes. He's a steward as well. He's doing a lot of really great work behind the scenes. So Gertian, he's a massively appreciated, integral member of the staff team here at Motive. We watch Motive, indeed we do. Totally Zero. Jill Silvering, have a good race, guys. GG in Tier 2, says Totally Zero. Spur time, shame about the end of the Tier 2 race, but still well done to the podium, guys. Yeah, I know there are a few guys who didn't get to finish the final lap because the server crashed just after, I think, the top 4 had finished, but I think the server crashed before a few people could finish the race, which is a bit of an anticlimax, obviously, for everybody involved. But nonetheless, we've here we are anyway for Tier 1. Obviously, we've got Totally Zero. This race is going to be fast. I think it is, mate. To be fair, it's going to be a very cutting edge. Spur time here. Have you brought a picnic? Asking Glenn. Oh, cheers, Spur time Sunday drive, he said. Yeah, yeah, definitely so. Pete saying GG Glenn. Obviously Glenn starting in P17 for this race. Can he get us off the order a bit? Obviously, because it's a long race and plenty of opportunity for drivers in front to get into incidents. And what can he do from there? I'm sure he'll move up from there. But we've also got Gertie in there saying 47 hours with a crying face. Yeah, man, absolutely grueling. To be fair, 6 days a week. But to be fair, I've done 7 days a week before, and that's not particularly fun. I've done 17 days in a row before. That was a barrel of laughs. Sim League Pro says, evening guys, good to see Cheese and Jazzman back on the track. It definitely is Sim League Pro. That's Lazy Camel there in the comments. But also, you know, obviously with Cheese Monkey, he's been racing the last couple of weeks, but Jazzman back out on track for the first time in a long time. He's been visiting his family in his homeland of South Africa, but I believe he's back in the Middle East now, which is where he resides. So it's great to see him back at his rig and putting it on pole on his return. So as definitely not suffering from any rustiness like I suggested he might potentially be before we return, because I was saying before, with Tynus being on the run that he's on, he might, you know, Jazzman could struggle to keep up with Tynus, but Jazzman putting it on pole, and Tynus, a disappointing qualifying for him down in P4, not what we expected at all, and certainly not what I expected. 17 of you currently watching the stream here as we're coming over the line here to start the Tier 1 race here at Silverstone. Down towards Cops Corner we come for the first time. It's Jazzman who seems to... Has he been jumped here by Robe? No, he hasn't. He's still ahead of him. So Jazzman leads coming down towards Maggots and Beckett's. Robe there in second ahead of Ludo, followed by Tynus. You've got PS Vids who's got Gidacris sticking up his inside here into Maggots. Oh, and there's a bit of contact there between Gidacris and PS Vids. And PS Vids there going to get a bit sideways there. Oh, and he's lost it. PS Vids is round there onto the marbles there. And he's going to drop down the order down to 16th place because we lost the driver here. I'm not sure who we lost, but somebody has bailed out before we even got to the start of the race. But Jazzman leading ahead of Robe, followed by Ludo. You've got Tynus there running in fourth place, fourth place behind Ludo at this point. Then you've got Andrew there who's running ahead of Kevin, followed by Guido Christa. You've got Capriglia followed by High Grade. Mary Louise there is running instead of Low 3000. There's Cheese Monkey at the outside here of Low 3000 coming into the Vale chicane. Can he get the inside here for Club Corner? I think Cheese Monkey's going to get this one done here. He's going to pull up a great move there on Low 3000 up into P11. So Cheese Monkey up in place there. Good move there from our man in the number 2 Mercedes. But Jazzman leading the race by just under a second right now ahead of Robe. There's Ludo followed by Tynus in the house. And these top 4 have just gapped Andrew by a little bit here, who's got a big train of cars behind him. But clean start for the most part. Obviously we saw the contact there between Guido Christa and PS Vids, which saw PS Vids drop down to the back of the pack. P16 currently in the early stages of this race. We did lose a driver before the start of the race, and I'm not quite sure who it was at this point. But we had 17 at the start of the race, and then suddenly we dropped down to 16. So I'm still trying to put my finger on who it was. But as such, I've got no clue. But coming over the line here to complete lap 1 of the race, and Jazzman is leading ahead of Robe by a second and a half, so he's pulling out that gap. Ludo there running in third place at a time, followed by Andrew, and you've got Kev Sim there in P6 ahead of Guido Chris, followed by Capriga. High Grade there ahead of Mary Louise. There's Cheese Monkey, Lord 3000, Scuderia Paul ahead of Yellow Army. We've got a move beer being shaped up as PS Vids now looking down inside of Glenn into Cops Corner, and he gets the move done there. There's PS Vids up into P15, and then now he can focus his attention on Yellow Army, who'll be next up the road there for him. But I'm still trying to work out who it was that we lost in the early stages of the race. It wasn't Glenn, it wasn't Yellow Army, it wasn't Scuderia Paul, it wasn't Lord 3000, it wasn't Cheese Monkey, it was Epiphany. So Epiphany, his game's still playing up. Obviously we've had this issue the last couple of weeks. I don't know what it is, but he's got some kind of issues. I don't know if it's hardware or whether it's his game, but or whether it's his internet, but it keeps dropping out. So hopefully he can get that sorted out before next week at for the final round of the season at Indy. But Tynus has got ahead of Ludo up into third place. So Tynus in the house now moves himself into the podium places. Now he can focus his attention on Robe. Jazzman's gapping Robe by quite a bit here. He's 1.6 ahead at this stage. Jazzman clearly has got the race pace so far, but maybe he's going to be changing tyres because his pace does seem a bit too good to be true at this point when you consider the fact that him and Robe were so close on qualifying pace. So I wonder if Jazzman's gone and half tanked it and is planning on changing tyres here when he comes in for his pit stop. Could very well potentially be. There's Jazzman coming over the line here to start up for the race. There is Robe ahead of Tynus and Ludo. There's the top four. Andrew's just starting to now reel the gap down to Ludo a little bit here. Got Cheese Monkey pushing the back of Mary Louise. You can see those two coming through back. Oh, Cheese Monkey's dropped it there. He gets sideways, and that's given Law 3000 the position. Cheese Monkey just took a little bit too much curb there, and unfortunately for him, he's going to drop a little bit off of the rest of them. PS Vids moves himself through up into 12th place. Yellow Army's coming up on the scene, but Cheese Monkey's got it going again. But Cheese Monkey there losing time and losing a place there to PS Vids as well. Going to be a bit of an annoying one for there for him. Obviously he's raced the last couple of weeks as a reserve. He's had some strong performances as well, but especially at Monza, but not having the night so far here at Silverstone, it must be said. Gets him all over the back of Andrew as they're going through Village. Coming through into the loop here, but so these guys are dropping off of the top four a little bit. Well, I say the top four, I mean Jazzman's in a league of his own. You've got the other three, and they're gapping these guys. As Ludo here looking to the inside of Tynus. Tynus all over the back of Robe coming into Brooklands. There's still no dice here for him. Tynus in the house though will be looking to try and get himself ahead of Robe as soon as he can, because it looks like Robe's not got the pace of Jazzman. But then again, it's quite possible that Jazzman's half tanking it and going to be changing tyres when he comes into the pits, because his pace right now is just ridiculous. I can't imagine that he's not half tanking it. I really can't at this point. Kev's still on the back of Andrew as they're going through Cops. Gita Cristela Capriga, there's high grade Mary Louise in the background, still running in P10 ahead of Lower 3000. And PS Vids continue to make gains after obviously dropping down the order down to what was P16 at the time in the first lap, but now he's in P12. So PS Vids is continuing to cut his way through the pack here, and I'm sure he'll be aiming for a top 5 here in this race. He's not a million miles behind. It's about, I'd say, about 10-15 seconds off of the race lead at this point, so certainly not out of the question for him to finish in the top 5 here tonight. Probably about 8 seconds or so off of a top 5 position at this point, but obviously with traffic in the way, that will probably go up in the intermediary stages, and then if he's got the pace it will come down towards the end depending on other factors. But Tynus in house currently all over the back of Robe as they're coming down the international pit straight into Abbey they go. It's the battle between Capriga and High Grade. High Grade getting closer to the back of Capriga at the moment as they're going through Abbey. Cheese Monkey there, a little way behind PS Vids after his spin going through Maggots and Beckett's a couple of laps to go. Yellow Army there running in 14th place. Glenn in P15 ahead of Scooter Paul, who's had a bit of a patchy start to this race, it must be said, running in P16. Not the first couple of laps that I'm sure he would have been hoping for here tonight, but a long way to go in this race. Still plenty of time for him to get himself back into this one. But Robe here ahead of Tynus as they're coming through into Luffield at the moment. Ludo there trying to keep tabs with these guys at this point. Tynus to come to the inside there of Robe into Cops Corner, but can't get it done. All the time that Tynus spends behind Robe, it's losing him time to Jazzman, obviously, because Jazzman's skipping away at the front. But as I said before, I think Jazzman might be half tanking it and potentially changing tyres when he comes in, so that will obviously give him a longer pit stop time. PS Vids now closing up onto the back of Lowell 3000 here. See, that gap could be under a second now at this point. High Grade still on the back of Capriga, but hasn't been able to find a way through so far in this race. Tynus there a bit wide going out of Stowe. Not really putting the pressure on Robe that he'd like to be, I'm sure, at this point. Keston looking to the outside of Andrew into Vale. Just can't make the move though. Andrew's just covering the inside line off beautifully there. Guido Christ on the back of these guys right now. Tony Zero saying, Robe full tanking it maybe. I think we had the same problem with the McLaren, the tyres overheating, so grip is horrible. While the PSI stayed at operating settings. Chris there says, good luck all, let's go Glenn, you got this. Hey Pete, if you're here, GG's bad time for our race. But yeah, I think probably Jazzman is half tanking it and is changing tyres. Tynus, it's difficult to know because he's stuck behind Robe at the moment, so we're not really seeing his real pace as we come into Luffield, and Tynus here just having little looks, trying to force Robe into a mistake here. Robe they're holding firm at the moment, not really giving Tynus anything to go on here as they come through into Woodcote now. But Tynus is going to be getting a little bit frustrated here behind the McLaren at this point, I imagine. Down towards Cops Corner we go again, still nothing doing, still no dice here. PS5's now all over the back of Lol 3000, so he'll be wanting to move himself through over to P11 as soon as he possibly can here and waste no time making progress here up the pack. Down the hanger straight we go, Robe just ahead of Tynus. Tynus is weaving around trying to get that toe there off of Robe. Into Stowe they go. Robe's got it covered at the moment though. It's down towards Vale we go. Tynus is a bit wide there, he's looking to the outside now on Robe. Robe defends the inside line into Vale, as in the background Luda there goes very deep indeed. Tynus here trying to go for a run through Club Corner. So here we come out onto the international pit straight. Tynus getting closer and closer and closer to the back of Robe into Avi, but still can't make it happen. Tynus down the inside here of Robe, commits one there and he gets it done. I'm noticing here that both Robe and Tynus have gained on Jazzman, so I think Jazzman's made a mistake because he was over his 6 seconds clear and the gap just dipped under 5 seconds there. It's now gone over 6 because basically down to the fact that Tynus made the move on Robe, which slowed both of them down, but I think Jazzman might have made a mistake there. Robe's trying to come back at Tynus here down towards Brooklyn as we go, but he's not going to be able to get that one done. And Tynus has P2 there, done and dusted. In the background here we've got Kev Sim defending the inside from Guido Christ into Brooklyn as we go. Guido Christ can't get it done. Kev Sim holding on to that one by the skin of his teeth there. Capriga still ahead of High Grade at this point. You've got Mary Louise there running in P10 at this stage in the race. PS Vids is now ahead of Law 3000, so PS Vids can now try and focus his attention here on Mary Louise, who's a couple of seconds behind High Grade at this point. You've got Kevson, who seems to have lost out here to Guido Chris. Guido Chris is up into P6, but Kevson here trying to come back at him, coming down towards Magus and Beckett's. But Guido Chris there, job done there for him up into P6. So Tynus currently just ahead of Robe as they're coming down towards Vale once again. There's Robe, there's Ludo. Battle's going everywhere that you look at the moment. Currently PS Fits knocking on the door here of a P10 in this race. Obviously had his spin on the first lap, or rather a bit of a contact between himself and Guido Christ, which dropped him out of the equation, but since then he's done nothing but pick himself back up, and he's currently right on the back of Mary Louise here as they go through Village. Can he get a good exit coming out of the loop out onto the Wellington Straight? If he can, he might be able to make a move into Brooklands. So here we come then. In the foreground, you've got High Grade all over the back of Caprigia. There's Mary Louise, still trying to keep PS Fids behind him, and he's managing to do so. All PS Fids almost tapping Mary Louise in the rear there as they came through Brooklands into Luffield we go now. And still no gaps forming here for PS Fids. He's going to have to continue to wait a little bit longer here for Marie-Louise to make a mistake. Down towards Agus and Beckett's we go. PS Fid's looking to the outside here. I think Highgrade's dropped off of Capriga a little bit, but PS Fid's got himself a little bit alongside there, Marie-Louise, but Marie-Louise just manages to hold her on the outside there of Beckett by the skin of his teeth there, keeping onto that position. PS Fid's closing right up onto the back of Marie-Louise as they're coming out onto out of Chapel onto the hanger straight again. Here we go then, side by side, down towards Stowe Corner we go. Marie-Louise covers the inside line, but PS Fid's is going to go for a cutback. Marie-Louise goes slightly deep, but not by enough. Missed the apex by about a metre, had his car still positioned in the way. PS Fid's couldn't get that cutback that he needed. And Marie-Louise holds on once again here. PS Fid's going to be getting frustrated at this point. These guys have got Cheese Monkey closing in on him, who obviously made his mistake a few laps ago, which dropped him down the order a little bit, but the more they battle, the more it's going to be bringing this man into contention. Robe's still running in the final podium place at the moment, ahead of Ludo. Capriga a bit of a slide there, coming out of Luffield, getting it a little bit wrong. Highgrade there, creeping closer onto the back of him here as they come with the line here to complete lap 8 of the race. It's getting closer and closer and closer here is Highgrade, but still can't seem to find a way around him. Robo's managed to gap Ludo a little bit over the course of this lap. Jazzman's pulling away from everybody here, but I'm pretty sure Jazzman must be on a half tank, because he's been absolutely flying in the first few laps of this race. He's just got up and gone and said, "See you later, chaps, that's it, I'm off, cheerio now." And he's absolutely storming around Silverstone circuit here tonight on his return race, obviously. Our 5-time champion, our 2-time champion here for the GT3 Championship on a Sunday, our 2-time champion for the PS4 GT3 Championship, and our 1-time champion for the PS4 Sprint League as well. He's a man with lots of credentials, and obviously not going to win a championship this season because he's missed most of the season. This is his first appearance here for Season 4, but nonetheless looking to try and get a win. I was going to potentially throw a stat that he had won at least one race in every season on the PS5, but I don't think he raced any races in Season 2. I think, because I know he sat out Season 2, so I don't think he raced in any of the races. So with that being considered, I think he actually hasn't won a race in every season. I was going to throw a little cool little stat that used to be the case. The stat they always used to throw for Hamilton in F1 until last season, obviously, the one about how he'd won a race in every season he'd raced in. I was about to throw that one for Jazzman, then I realised he wasn't here for Season 2, so I can't really go with that one, unfortunately. Nonetheless, it looks like PS Fid has now got the move done here on Marie-Louise, so he's up into P10 here. Here's PS Fid. Now he can focus his attention on Highgrade, who's just under 4 seconds up the road. Obviously, when he gets to Highgrade, he'll find that Capriga is also in quite close proximity as well, so I imagine he'll be looking to try and get himself into, I imagine, 8th place quite soon here for PS Fids, as we see Yellow Army into the pits here at the end of lap 9. 16 of you currently watching the stream, guys. If you're enjoying what you're watching, then please do smash the like button and subscribe to the Motive Racing channel if you haven't already. Simply Pro says, what times is Jazzman doing? He was doing 58, low 58s in qualifying, so I imagine he's probably in the 59s, probably, I would imagine, probably low 59s. will probably be around that sort of benchmark. Yellow Army into the pits here at the end of lap 9. I think we already said that. He's got a bit of damage as well, so that might be the reason for the early pit stop. Totally Zero says, just realised Tynus is fast with a full tank as well, which most of us isn't used to driving with a full tank. Yeah, Jazzman, I don't think Jazzman's on a full tank. I doubt it very much. The pace he's doing, I think, is almost definitely on a half tank. Obviously, he'll spend longer in the pits as a result, but he'll have a much quicker car at the end of the race. But Tynus, we know, as we said, is very used to driving on a full tank, and he's got pace on a full tank as well. Robe seems to be dropping off the back of Tynus a little bit with his situation as it is. Ludo's coming into the pits here at the end of lap 10, so I can't imagine he'll be changing tyres because it's far too early to really make use of it. So he's coming in here, I imagine, for a stop and go. Well, not really a splash and dash because you're not really putting any fuel in, but yeah, nonetheless, into the pits he comes. Capriga instead of Kevsim. In fact, Kevsim's made a mistake here because Capriga is now ahead of him, and in fact, so is high grading Guido Chris. Kevsim has dropped it somewhere. He's now got PS Vids on the back of him here. So yeah, Kevsim's made a mistake and he's down to 9th place here in this race. Timing board's still yet to update itself, but when the timing board sorts itself out, Kevsim should be showing up as being in P9 unmistakably, although having said that, P8 now because Ludo's been into the pits. But Kevsim there, I'm not quite sure what happened to him there, but he's obviously had some kind of incident which has made him lose a few positions here. Capriga's got high grade Guido Christ and Kevsim, who's still on that train all over the back of him right now. PS Vids is now starting to get onto the back of these guys as well, so this could quickly become a 5-man battle here for P5, which is quite exciting, isn't it? But you can see all of those guys coming through Abbey here on lap 11 of this race. In the meantime, Jazzman continuing to stamp his authority here on this Tier 1 field tonight. So high grade's getting closer to the back of Capriga here as they're coming out of Chapel. You can see they've got Guido Christ all over them now as well. Kevsim and PS Vids in the background here are going to be fancying a bit of a shout at this as well. But Capriga defending the inside there. High grade almost tapping him in the rear there as they go through Stowe corner. Can he get the cut back here? High grade not really. Capriga's going to defend the inside there, coming to out towards Bale as well. High grade there looking to the outside. Can he get it around him? No, because Capriga has comfortably got the turn in there. Guido there now attacking the back of High grade. High grade could be vulnerable here to an attack here from Guido Chris, but Guido Chris has to get out of it a little bit there, coming out of club corner, and that would have just compromised his run. Maybe Kevsim might be fancying a move here on Guido now. As down towards that we go. Kevsim there moving himself through up into 7th place. So Kevsim just managing to capitalise on Guido Chris, just getting it a little bit wrong coming out of club, down to the fact that he had to take a tight line and get out of it to avoid running into the back of High grade. So Guido Chris there losing out to Kevsim. Kevsim there capitalising beautifully up into 7th place. Looks as though this pack of cars battling over P5 are just coming up on some traffic here in the shape of Yellow Army. He's just going through Chapel Curve now. So he's got to be careful because he's got a lot of cars who will be appearing in his rearview mirrors very shortly. Kevsim now looking pretty racy on the back of High Grade here. Down the high straight we go. You can see Kevsim's got a bit of his car alongside High Grade. High Grade is trying to squeeze into the inside, but Kevsim's got himself well alongside here in towards Stoke Corner. Is he going to send one down the inside? High Grade there, a bit of a slide. Kevsim there's got the run, and Kevsim moves himself up into P6. That's another position gained there for Kevsim. 2 places gained in the last couple of laps. High Grade there too far back to send it coming into Vale, and Kevsim now into P6 on the back of Capriglia, so he's recovering the lost positions quite nicely here is Kevsim, getting himself back in the zone right now. You can see the lap car, or the soon to be lap car of Yellow Army in the foreground there. But Kevsim there, nice move up into P6 once again. This train of cars still going at it though. Capriglia's just trying to duck away from this if he can. Oh, as Guido Chris there hits the side of High Grade. High Grade keeping it around the outside into the loop we go. PS Vid's now looking pretty racy here, looking very interested on the back of these guys. High Grade there staying ahead of Guido Chris just. PS Vids now has got a bit of a run here on Guido Chris as we're coming down the Wellington Straight in towards Brooklands we go. He's looking down the inside here is PS Vids. Is he going to send one here? As we can see Guido Chris going a little bit wide, and PS Vids there slides it coming through Brooklands, but isn't able to get ahead of it, and currently as you were in this battle right now. PS Vid still trying to find a way through ahead of Guido Chris right now as they're coming through Magus and Beckett's. He's looking to try and get a run, I'm sure, coming out of Chapel Curve. These guys just dropped off at the back of the other three a little bit. Capriglia's actually gapped the rest of them. Although saying that, looks like now Kevsim's gained a little bit on him over the course of this first sector. PS Vid is too far back on Guido Chris as they come in towards Stoke Corner. He's not going to make a move from there. No chance. As we see Scuderia pull into the pits here at the end of lap 13. Caprilia into the pits here at the end, lap 15, or lap 14 should I say. So it becomes the first of this 5 pack of cars to come in. Obviously was leading that train of cars before. Now Kevsim's the new leader, but then again he's pulled away a bit from High Grade now, so he's the second half back to him. High Grade's not really closing on Kevsim. PS Vids is actually falling back into the clutches of Guido Chris a little bit here. Jazzman race leader into the pits here at the end of lap 15 there, so coming in at the halfway point, that to me is indicative of somebody who's half tanked it and is changing tyres. So Tynus staying out, I assume, on a full tank strategy, so is Robe. Tynus the highest runner of the full tank drivers then. Let's watch Jazzman and see how quick he is in the pit box. I reckon he's going to be quite a while. If it's over 10 seconds, you're going to be pretty sure that he's putting tyres and fuel in. Yeah, it's well over 10 seconds. Jazzman definitely changing tyres and putting fuel in the car. That will mean that he'll lose out to Tynus. Tynus will be leading the race. Well, it depends when he comes in actually, because if Tynus waits until right at the end, then that could give Jazzman time to obviously get the laps down and come out ahead of him on his fresh tyres. But I think if Tynus comes in quite soon, he'll come out in the lead, and then it'll be a case of whether Jazzman can catch him. That'll literally be the question over the last part of the race. Can Jazzman catch up to him in the final part, or can Jazzman catch up to him now? Can he do the work now and get the jump on him when Tynus comes in? That's what we're going to find out over the course of the second half of this Tier 1 race here tonight at Silverstone. It's once again the battle between Jazzman and Tynus, but Tynus this time with a lot to lose because he's won 6 races so far this season. He's going for a whitewash of victories here this season with Season 4 outmotive for the GT3 Championship. He's had a near perfect season in the Sprint League as well this season. He's taken, out of the 14 races so far in the Sprint League, he's taken 11 wins, but in this Sunday GT3 Championship he's taken 6 from 6, and looking to try and make it 7 from 7 here tonight at Silverstone. If he can continue what he's doing right now, Jazzman would love in the nicest possible way to be the party pooper here for Tynus. I'm sure about that. But how is this all going to play out? We're just going to have to wait and see at this point. As we've got to move here, High Grade is losing out to PS Fitz. PS Fitz down the inside into Brooklands. PS Fitz gets himself up into 4th place. Nice move there from PS Fitz. Bit of a start on the exit, but gets it done into Luffield. PS Fitz there moves himself through into P4. Guido Chris now looking interested on the back of High Grade as well as they're coming through Woodcote. High Grade here looking to try and get a run here with PS Fitz actually coming down towards Cox, but he's way too far back and that's not going to happen. In the meantime, it's Tynus in the race ahead of Robe, who's in second. Tynus in house has definitely got a pace over Robe. Both of these two, we believe, are full tank in it. Looks like Andrew probably is as well, to be going as far as he is into this race. He's gone well beyond the halfway point. So Tynus, Robe, Andrew, the highest runners of the full tank drivers here. Jazzman, the highest runner of the half tankers, who's already beat in. It's going to be interesting to watch how it all slots in here though. Guido Chris now all over the back of High Grade. Cheese Monkey's also on the back of Mary Louise as they're coming into the Vale chicane. Knocking on the door of P7 here is Cheese Monkey. He'd love to get in another place here. Getting into the pits here in lap 16, so coming in just past the halfway mark here. Guido Chris in the meantime has got the move done on High Grade, so Guido Chris is up into 5th place. So High Grade there has lost a couple of paces now in the last couple of laps, and That'll be a bit of a kick up the bum there for him, obviously. Pierce fits into the pits here at the end of lap 17. So is Andrew. Chris now starting to extend his gap a little bit over Highgrade, looking like he's definitely got the pace over him. Has Chris got the pace to challenge PS Vids for a top 5 spot in this race? It could be quite a close one there between them two, but PS Vids nonetheless is in his box at the moment. Looks like he's probably changing tyres. I don't know, difficult to tell, but I think he probably was, because he seemed to be in the box for a bit longer than I'm sure he would have ideally hoped for. I mean, yeah, Chris and Highgrade are over halfway around the lap, so PS Fit, I think, has definitely changed tyres there. A bit late to change tyres, but I suppose he will gain an advantage, obviously, because there's still 25 minutes left in the race, and his tyres, are about 18 laps fresher. But he wouldn't have probably gained the advantage. I mean, technically, you're just not going to get enough out of them, or you're not going to get as much out of them as you would if you had changed them at the halfway point, but I guess it's still an advantage, isn't it, I guess. But nonetheless, Tyson now still leading the race by 4.6 seconds here over Robe. Both of these two full tanking it, not going to be changing tyres, I wouldn't have thought. Andrew's done his pit stop and he's come out behind Jazzman. So I think Andrew did end up half tanking it. He hasn't full tanked it, so he did need to change tyres, and he's come out well behind Jazzman, 26 seconds behind him. So Andrew was 7 seconds behind Tynus. You do about a 30-second pit stop for changing tyres, compared to about a 7 or 8 second pit stop when you don't. So he would have had about a 22-second longer pit stop than what Tynus had. He was about 7 seconds behind Tynus when he came in. He's about 26 seconds behind Jazzman now. So I think that he's about a net 29-30 seconds behind Tynus. So I reckon Tynus is probably about a net 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Jazzman, which leads me to think that Jazzman is probably almost in the net lead already here. So Tynus, I would have thought, I mean, I could be completely wrong here, I could be completely miscalculating this, but looking at it, I would have thought that maybe Tynus could potentially be thinking about coming into the pits quite soon, because otherwise he'll be at high risk of losing out to Jazzman here. Tynus is still leading by 4 seconds over Robe. Robe's actually cutting into Tynus' gap a little bit at this stage, so I don't know if Tynus has taken a bit too much out of his tyres. Maybe Robe's been looking after his a little bit more, as Robe's coming up on some traffic here in the shape of Lowell 3000. Jazzman's got some traffic in the shape of Mary Louise, and obviously Cheese Monkey a couple of seconds up the road from him as well, so that could affect his progress here a little bit. PS Feds and Keston continuing their battle on from before the pit window. They're still going at it for 10th and 11th. That will move them. They'll move up a few places, obviously, once all the pit stops are said and done in front of them. Could be for a P5 or 6 by the time we get to the end of the race. But Cheese Monkey and Mary Louise into the pits here, nonetheless, at the end of lap 19. So Eloise is now off and away, having done his pit stop. Cheesemonkey is still sat in the box at the moment. He's now off the Jackson away, so Cheesemonkey back out onto the track here. They come out, they've come out behind PS Vids, behind Kevsin, behind Caprigia, but in front of Lowell 3000, so they've come out in 11th and 12th places. Tynus in house, still leading the race at the moment by 4.3 over Robe. The important thing is, what's his gap to Jazzman, because that's going to be the breaker in this one. A pit stop around Silverstone. If you're not changing tyres or fuel, it's between 30 and 35 seconds the time loss. So if we look at it, Tynus has got 4.5 seconds to Robe. Let's keep an eye on what the gap is to Guido. So 30 to Guido, another 2 to High Grade. So Tynus is about 40 seconds ahead of Jazzman at this point. But I reckon it's about a 30-second pit stop. Because it is quite a short pit lane at Silverstone. So when you factor that in, I mean, Tynus, he could be alright at this point. But we're probably going to have about 10 laps left to go here in this race. So if Jazzman can lap about a second a lap quicker than Tynus, he should be able to get this win. Tynus can keep the differential that Jazzman's gaining on him at under a second. Tynus might be able to hold on for a race win and take 7 from 7 so far this season. I know Jazzman is going to be absolutely gunning to try and prevent him from doing that. I know that Jazzman's a bit of a track specialist around Silverstone as well. But Tynus is going to be extra motivated and has got that more practice recently as well. As I said earlier on, Jazzman could be a bit rusty. I know he took pole position in the qualifying, but even so, you know, qualifying is a different game from the race, and generally consistency could be more of an issue when you're rusty than outright pace. In fact, it definitely is. There's no doubt about it. Pace is something that's a bit more inherent, whereas consistency can be affected a lot by practice and by just overall experience and stuff like that. So, you know, if you've been driving a lot recently, then your consistency is going to be there. But it's a lot easier to lose that when you haven't been racing a lot. And I think that Jazzman could potentially be suffering from that, but seems to be doing alright at this point. Anyway, High Grade into the pits at the end of lap 21. So that now promotes Jazzman up into P4. And that now just leaves Tynus, Robe and Guido to come into the pits before we get to the end of this race. I just want to say a big warm welcome to anybody watching the stream here right now. If you guys are enjoying, please do smash the like button. 10 of you watching. Can we get to the stream to 10 likes before we get off air? Obviously, we've got 2 separate streams here tonight. Obviously, because the tier 2 server crashed at the end of the race, which meant that we had to start a new stream. Keeping an eye on the gap between Tynus and Jazzman. It's about 38 seconds between them at this point. So it's continuing to come down by about a second a lap, and as I said, with the pit lane being about 30-second time loss, I reckon Tynus has got to start thinking about coming in soon in order to cover Jazzman off. Because if he can come out ahead of him, he might be able to defend it, whereas obviously if he comes out behind him, there's nothing he can do. So he'll be able to come in before Jazzman's able to jump him, because at this point, if he were to come into the pits now, he'd come out ahead of him and he'd be able to defend, albeit on very worn out tyres in comparison to Jazzman's fresh tyres. But at least he'd be able to, give himself a fighting chance, you know. Whereas if he comes out behind him. Obviously, Jazzman's got a walkover to the flag. Thomas, I think, needs to give himself an opportunity here. He's gapped to Robo about 4.5 seconds, so Robo's actually matching him at this point. And these two clearly on the same strategy at this stage, there's no doubt about it. As you're on the timing screen, the Cheese Monkey seems to have got ahead of Mary Louise. So I'm not sure where he's done that. If Mary Louise made a mistake, he's now 2.5 seconds behind him. The Cheese Monkey up into P11 and now knocking on the door of a top 10 spot, which wouldn't be a bad result for him after a few trials and tribulations in the early stages of the race. Jazzman's pulling up onto the back of Guido Christ now. Obviously Guido Christ still yet to come in and make his pit stop. Jazzman's been in and done his, so Jazzman will be wanting to spend minimal time here behind Guido Christ at this stage. Here we come, then down the start finish straight we go. It's Jazzman to the inside of Guido Christ into Cop's corner. This is going to be job done for him, and it's going to be job done. So into third place goes Jazzman, wasting minimal time here in his pursuit of the race victory. Just got to keep an eye on his gap to Tynus though, because that's going to be the breaker here in this one. Tynus is actually being reeled in a little bit by Robe here, as these two both on the same strategy. Not going to be changing tyres. Maybe Robe's just looking after his tyres that little bit better here, because he is gaining ever so slightly. Jazzman is now within 33 seconds of the race lead, so I think that Tynus needs to pull the trigger. He needs to come in and do his pit stop quite soon here if he is to keep this lead. I think that Robe will come out behind Jazzman already at this point. I think as things stand already, he'll already lose out to him. Tynus, I think, should come out ahead of Jazzman at the moment, but you know, the clock's ticking and the laps are winding down. But Tynus here coming through Lovefield. Obviously, we're going to have, I think, 5 more laps left in this race. Tynus has got to think about pitting, in my opinion. Otherwise, he will lose that opportunity to be able to defend from Jazzman, and that would be really quite a ball ache for him. I'm sorry guys if I just seem to be tuning out here. I'm just ordering myself a pizza for when the race ends. Jazzman's gap to Tynus is 32 seconds now. I tell you what, Tynus has got to think about coming in this lap. He really does, because the gap is soon it's not going to be enough for him to come out ahead of Jazzman. I tell you what, Tynus is going to miss a trick here if he doesn't come in soon. I'm telling you that now. That was a hiccup. Right, gap now. It's not really come down actually between Tynus and Jazzman over the last lap, so it looks like it's about 31.5 seconds. It's not really coming down much anymore. So maybe Jazzman's tyres starting to grain a little bit, potentially. Maybe Tynus has just got his act together, got his head in the game a little bit. Got 3 laps left to go here at Silverstone tonight. I think Tynus might try and leave it until the very last lap to come in. Wouldn't be the first time. Gap's now 31 seconds between Tynus and Jazzman. Maybe Tynus just doesn't want to panic, doesn't want to show any signs of letting the pressure get to him. Maybe he knows exactly how long a pit stop is and knows he's okay, perhaps, I don't know. But he does seem to be cutting it a little bit fine here. I actually think the amount that I spend on pizzas is a criminal offence. I genuinely think it's a criminal offence. It's actually ridiculous. Someone needs to stop me. I'm honestly, I'm a danger to myself and to others. It's getting to that point where I do need to be stopped. Jesus Christ. Seriously, someone stop me. I'm ordering all these pizzas. In the meantime, Thomas is coming through out to Wellington Straight. The gap is now 29.5 seconds, so I don't think he's got enough of a gap to come out ahead of Jazzman. I really don't. I think he's spurned his opportunity to win this race. Unless the pit lane is shorter than I anticipated. I thought it was about a 30-second pit stop time loss. But Thomas is going to leave it until the very last lap. That's now without a doubt, because there is only one more lap where he could come in and make that stop. So we're going to find out very soon whether Thomas has done enough. Who knows, it could be about a 25-30 second pizza. JR says it's not the sharing the pizza that's criminal. Actually, do you know what? The reason why it costs so much is because I bought an extra box of chicken strips because my nan absolutely loves them, and she always asks for them, so I've actually had to order 2 boxes of chicken strips now. That's the thing, it's now got to the point where I was so I always ended up having to, my nan would always ask me for my chicken strips, so I've now got to the point where I have to now buy her own box just to keep her happy. So she will come in as soon as she smells the pizza. She knows that there's chicken strips on offer, and she will be in the room like that. So I just have to, you know, I have to take these measures to ensure. bless you, Nana. Stop putting pineapple on your pizza. I'd never put pineapple on pizza. God, that's grim. Who does that? I'll tell you who does that. Psychopaths. Oh wait, hold on a sec. Maybe they don't. But currently Tynus is still leading this race by just under 4 seconds. Obviously Tynus and Robe do need to come in at this lap, because if they don't, they will get a rather unfortunate penalty. Your nan sounds pretty cool, says Zidovang. Yeah, she is. But yeah, she does like to. The thing is, right, whenever I get her own box, she only has a couple of them, but I just don't want to have to go through the pain of having to give out my chicken strips, because I order the chicken strips because I like them. You know, that's just how it is. It's not pineapple, it's Hawaiian. Is it now? In the meantime, we've got Tynus and Robe both coming in here at the end of lap 29. So obviously, or is it lap? No, it's lap 29. So here we go. We're about to find out whether Tynus has done enough here to get the win. Jazzman is coming up through Luffield. I'll tell you what, he's not going to get the win. He's not going to get the win because he's not even stopped in his box, and Jazzman is coming through Woodcote. So here we come. Tynus there in his box still. Jazzman coming into Copse Corner, and Tynus coming out, but his race-winning streak is over. Jazzman has come through on the exit of Copse Corner, and into Magnussen back as we go. Jazzman is going to be the man. He's going to be the party pooper this season, and he's going to have a big smile on his face right now, because he has denied Tynus his chance to take a 100% record this season at Motive in our GT3 Championship. Jazzman there coming out onto the hanger straight there. Tynus is coming out now about 3 or 4 seconds behind him, but it is going to be Jazzman who's going to take the race win tonight. Robe there running in the final podium place. It's been a great drive from him. in all fairness, but Jazzman is going to take the win. He's got just over 5 seconds of a gap over Tynus in the house. Tynus is going to be gutted that he isn't going to be on course to take a 100% record this season. I'm sure about that. But fair play, Jazzman, because he's jumped in his first race back in quite a few months, and he is going to take home this penultimate round of the season for Tier 1 here in the GT3 Championship. Clock's at 0, and it's good timing because I'm just about done in now with my accumulation of total exhaustion. As I said before, it's been kicking in. I think it's a bit better this week than it has been in previous weeks. I think I'm now getting used to this permanently altered state of total exhaustion, as I said. But yeah, it's really done it. But here we go, Jazzman into the glove field for the final time here. Lap 30 of this Tier 1 GT3 Championship here at Motive for Season 4. He's going to come up towards the line here. He's got some traffic which he's not going to overtake before he gets to the line. It's Jazzman who takes the checkered flag on his return here to Motive. What a performance there from him. A really spectacular drive. Tynus comes over in second place, and his winning run of 6 races in this GT3 Championship for Season 4 is, unfortunately for him, over here tonight. Robe comes over to complete the podium there in 3rd place ahead of Andrew, who's a long way behind there in 4th. But what a job there from Jazzman. As JR says, I taught Jazzman all his driving skills. Big love Andy, drive more. Yeah, well, we need someone to commentate. I'm going to try and get a commentator for, I mean, I'll have to start in Tier 2 obviously, because, you know, it's only fair, but I'll try and get a commentator for Tier 2 if I can. Maybe, we'll have to see. Who knows? Who knows? If we can get a commentator for Sunday nights, I'd be absolutely made up with that, I really would. But Andrew takes B4, Guido Chris B5 with Ludo 6th ahead of PS Fierce, who finishes in 7th place. High Grade 8th, who finishes ahead of Kev Sim in 9th. Cheese Monkey over in P10, completing the top 10 ahead of Capriglia in 11th place. Scooter Paul and Neil Army have already finished the race in 14th and 15th places respectively. Mary Louise is going to come out of Woodcote at the final corner to take 12th. He's a long way ahead of Lol 3000, who's in 13th place. What about Glenn? He's just coming out of the loop out onto the Wellington Straight. Lol 3000 here coming into Brooklands. A couple of corners to go. Big shout out to JR tonight in the comments, because I haven't seen you for ages, to be honest, mate. I was starting to worry about you actually. I was looking on your server. I was thinking of just dropping a message just to make sure you're okay. But I was actually starting to worry a little bit. I'm glad to see you back in the comments again. Lol 3000 over the line to take 12th place, and Glenn over in P16. JR says, well done to Tynus, obviously great job here for P2, but Jazzman, a well-deserved victory in his return race here tonight at Motive. Guys, I'm absolutely shattered. I've got nothing left. Great to see Jazzman back, Tynus and Robe on the podium. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's your lot. I'm out. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next week for the finale at Indy, and also join us. We're back on ACC on Wednesday night as well for the final race at Kota. So there are your dates on ACC. Thanks everybody again, and yeah, peace.